everyone. So I think in November's garden tour, I said that would be my last one for this year until next growing season. However, when I was looking back at the November tour, I actually have done quite a bit, well, at least more than I expected to during the month of November, and the garden looks pretty different now than it did November 1st. So even though this probably won't be a very long video, I thought it would be nice just to kind of take a look and see where the garden is on December 1st. And now, unless things change a lot in December, I probably won't start back up again until either March 1st or April 1st, depending on when some of the bulbs that I have start to grow or if I do anything to the plants. So let me go ahead. I'm inside right now because it is a lot colder than typical for my monthly garden tours, and let's go outside and take a look and see what the garden looks like. Right now I'm in the southeast corner of the garden, which is the best spot to kind of give you a view of everything that's out here. So just sweeping across here is an overall look at the garden. So let's begin with this section here. There are tulip bulbs, I think, in this bed, so those will hopefully start to sprout early spring, and like I mentioned, that's probably when I'll start up with the monthly garden tours again. In front of here, I have my blueberry bush here, and then my raspberry bush. Now, the original plan was to move these two over to the greenhouse area with the rest of the plants, but this one is actually really heavy, so I'm going to try to keep it over here. Last year what I did is I just left these as they were. I didn't even bother covering them or moving any pots close together, and they did survive, but again, last year wasn't terribly cold, so I do want to be careful just in case we get much colder weather this year. So what I'm doing is I did put some burlap on top of the branches just to keep that a little bit warmer. I've been stacking some of the empty pots and grow bags around. I want to put a few more over here. I was trying to move these large grow bags, but they are so heavy and do not move, so those will stay exactly where they are. But hopefully, fingers crossed, these make it through the winter this year just like they did last year. Coming over here then, these three grow bags are completely empty. Well, empty of actual plants or bulbs or anything like that. They have soil in them still. I did put some of the plant cuttings in here as well, and I'm just planning to let those disintegrate into the soil. I'll mix that up next spring. And I think I actually still have a little tiny onion growing. So you know what? So this one was kind of a surprise. I didn't know why or how it started to sprout up, but let's go in here and dig it up anyway. There we go. Tiny little onion guy. So I'll take that inside. This bed also has some bulbs in it. I've forgotten which ones already, even though I just planted them, I don't know, a month ago. But luckily, the benefit of recording, what you do is you can look back and remember. And then here I have my snap peas. So these, well, they look pretty good from afar, but if we get in close here, you can see that they are pretty close to the end of their life cycle. So I'm going to probably in the next week pull the plants here. So there's one growing in this flower box, two in the raised bed, also a couple mums in there that have seen better days, and then this one over here. So yeah, I'll probably pull these pretty soon. I don't know if these peas will still taste good, but might as well harvest these now and take them inside and see what happens. Over here, this one's also in the grow bag, or not in the grow bag, in the flower box as well. I really have liked the flower box with the trellis climbing up it. I had sweet peas last spring, but they didn't really do great in terms of the bloom, so I think next spring I'll continue with the snap peas because they fill up the trellis a lot better and I actually get something from the harvest. Over here is just some of my garden equipment. So I have my cages, my stand that I use for my herbs, some pots and other trellises. I do need to get these moved inside before we get a lot of snow. I've kind of been putting things off, but luckily we haven't had much snowfall yet. Swinging back here to the center bed, this also has tulips in it. I'm super excited to see this in the spring, assuming everything goes well. And I don't know if I've mentioned it since then, but I decided, based on feedback, not to cover anything unless it starts to get super moist. But from what anyone has told me, it seems like they'll be okay in here. They're not in small pots. They're in these larger raised beds, so they should be fine. Even if we have some moisture, the bulbs won't rot. Again, keeping my fingers crossed, but it's all about learning in the garden. And then here is the last corner, so I just have some soil, my garbage can, and these are the plants that I bunched together in here. So let me see if I can remember what everything is. This is my aronia berry. It's already lost all of its leaves. Strawberry plants are these three here, which were looking pretty good. I think I even had a couple strawberries in November, which is definitely not the norm. And then I have my 2 rhubarb plants here as well. This one actually still has some leaves. This one, all the leaves have already died. And then in here I have 2 container delphiniums. So these are all perennials, which is why I still have them out here, and they all should, again, hopefully come back next year. I did use this soil recently, which is why it's over here. I need to move it back just to give some of the pots a little bit more insulation. And lastly then, we have the greenhouse, which overall, I think it's been 2 to 3 weeks since I've had it. It's still upright, which is good. It hasn't blown off the deck, which is another plus. And it does seem, from what I can tell, to be keeping things a little bit warmer than the outside. So I'll open this up really quick. I can't go in because, as you can see, I have filled all of the floor space in here. But I have my grape plant here. I have 3 hydrangeas, my rose bush here, which actually still has some roses on it. Let me just poke my head in here. I would say it definitely can tell that it feels warmer in here. I'm going to get a thermometer so I can take it in and out and see the difference, but so far it seems to be doing its job. I have some irises in containers there, and I think that's everything. So just any plants that I thought might need a little bit more protection in the winter, I'm leaving them in here, and so far, so good. So let me zip this back up. And as far as plants on the deck, that is pretty much it, which is to be expected for a garden in Chicago in December. And then last thing here, I just have my table covered up with the chairs inside. So I am back inside where it's nice and warm, but that is how my garden looks on December 1st. I hope you found that helpful. I always think it can be interesting, even if there's not a lot going on in the garden, just to kind of see what people are doing with their gardens over winter. Like I said, I probably, unless I do something during December that changes the garden a lot, won't pick up on the garden tours until March or April of next year. Between then, I'll have a bunch of houseplant videos for sure, and then I'll probably have a lot of gardening videos, seed related, seeds I purchased, seeds that I'm starting indoors before we kick off actually planting stuff out in the garden again. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for following along just this whole year with the monthly tour. It's been really great to see how much has changed over the year, and it's been just really enjoyable to kind of share that with all of you. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.